Are you tired of weight loss products filled with artificial ingredients and empty promises? Discover the power of nature with Pure Revive, the ultimate solution for healthy weight loss. Check out the link in the video description now to start your journey with Pure Revive.
As New York's annual parade in support of Israel worked its way down Fifth Avenue on Sunday, a group of Israeli citizens shouted from the sidelines. They waved signs demanding a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the Israelis held by Hamas. They chanted "shame" as two right-wing Israeli cabinet ministers, who have defended the killing of thousands of Palestinian civilians, passed by. Above all, the protesters sought to challenge those Americans who regard support for the war in Gaza as a litmus test of loyalty to Israel. Some people booed us because they saw the word ceasefire, even though that's the best way to bring the hostages home, said Noah Fort, one of the organizers of the Israelis for Peace protest on Sunday. A few hours later, the same group led a vigil in Union Square where they have gathered on many weekends since the October 7 Hamas attack and the resulting Israeli assault on Gaza. The protesters tell anyone who will listen that opposition to the war in Gaza is also support for Israel, or a freer and more equal version of it. That's become an increasing difficult position for the peaceniks who find themselves under attack from all sides as both apologists for, and not loyal to, Israel. On the one side are hardline pro-Israel groups and prominent Jewish American organizations that have given unwavering support to Israel's months-long bombardment of Gaza with little more than lip service paid to the tens of thousands of Palestinians killed. At times they have accused critics of the war of denying Israel the right to defend itself and of anti-Semitism, and Jewish opponents of failing as Jews. On the other side are pro-Palestinian protesters who increasingly reject working with Israelis of any political stripe on the grounds they are Zionists. Some of those protesters also view discussion about the suffering of Israeli captives held by Hamas as cover for justifying the war. One of the Israeli protesters, who gave her name only as Stav, recently returned to New York after defending trucks carrying aid to Gaza from attacks by Israelis who claim the food and medicines go to sustain Hamas. After October 7, I've never felt as politically isolated in my life on all sides. It's not that my views have changed. It's that the spectrum of collaborators has significantly narrowed, she said. Stav said that before the Hamas attack she worked with an array of U.S. groups pursuing sometimes disparate goals, from seeking to protect Israel's judicial system from a power grab by the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, to ending the occupation of the Palestinian territories. She said that differences on some issues were generally not an obstacle to working together on others. That has changed. After October 7, everyone's become a lot more siloed. There's a lot more litmus tests to even get to the point where you actually talk about the issue that you want to be collaborating about, said Stav. There's no place to have a conversation about the actual facts on the ground that takes into account the fact both Israelis and Palestinians are going to continue living between the river and the sea in some constellation, that nobody's going anywhere. There's 14 people there. We're not going to ethnically cleanse half of them, no matter which half. Israelis in the U.S. who oppose the occupation say they are increasingly isolated from pro-Palestinian activists they used to work with, who have shifted toward demands for renunciations of Zionism and Israel, alongside ambiguous chants, such as, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Tamar Glezerman, a co-founder of Israelis for Peace whose aunt was killed by Hamas on the Be'eri kibbutz along with about 100 other people, said she welcomes the scale of the protests against the war and the broader spotlight that has thrown onto Israel's domination of the Palestinians. But she launched the weekly protest in Union Square to make the voices of her brand of left-wing Israelis heard without needing to pass purity tests to enter the room. Some tests we won't be able to pass and they're also not fair to demand them of Israelis. We're not going to dismantle the only country where my family lives, she said. I don't define myself as Zionist or non-Zionist. I did in the past, but now it has become empty of meaning. It could mean anything between someone who believes in two states coexisting peacefully to code for Jews don't deser.